They laughed at me at the funeral. My own brother leaned toward Nicole and whispered, loud enough for the whole room to hear, all she got was that worthless painting. I stood there, holding the dusty frame in my hands, heart pounding, while everyone smirked, completely unaware that behind that canvas was a secret that would shatter everything they believed about our family. If this pulled you in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This story is filled with secrets, betrayal, and a twist that will leave you speechless. You won't believe what happens next. My name is Evelyn. I was never the favorite. Not rebellious, not dramatic, just forgettable. When my parents died in a sudden car crash last fall, they left behind a multi-million-dollar estate. My brother Ryan got the investments. My sister Nicole was handed the vacation home and family business. And me, I was left with a single, dusty old painting. No note, no explanation, just that. They couldn't stop laughing. Ryan even said, "Maybe it's haunted. That's more your style, right?" I stayed quiet, but something didn't feel right. My parents were brilliant. Everything they ever did had a purpose. Why leave me this? I took the painting back to my tiny apartment, the only thing I could barely afford after quitting my job last month. It was hideous. Abstract shapes, faded colors. I stared at it for hours until, out of frustration, I turned it over, and that's when I felt it. A bump. Something under the canvas. Carefully, I peeled back the back lining. My heart jumped. There were handwritten numbers scribbled across the wooden frame, not just random digits. These were long, deliberate sequences, like codes. I took pictures and sent them to my old college friend Mason, who worked in cybersecurity. Within minutes, he called. "Evelyn, these are encrypted keys, financial ones. Where did you get this?" I could barely speak. My parents left it to me. He paused, then said, "You better sit down. These codes are linked to a bank in the Caymans, and the account has over $42 million in it. And guess what? It's in your name." The air left my lungs. They mocked me, called me useless, pitied me. But what I was holding wasn't just a painting. It was power, wealth, legacy, and no one else knew. Not yet, but very, very soon, they would. I didn't say a word to anyone. Let them keep thinking I was the unlucky one, the poor, pitiful Evelyn with her creepy little painting. The longer they stayed blind, the better it would hit when the truth finally came out. But first, I had to understand why they left this to me. My parents weren't impulsive people. Every decision they made was calculated. So why hide $42 million in a painting and hand it to the child they always seemed to forget? I went straight to Mr. Caldwell, the family lawyer who'd handled the estate. The man barely looked up when I entered his office, until I dropped the canvas onto his polished desk. "You knew, didn't you?" I asked quietly. He blinked slowly. "Excuse me," I leaned forward. "The codes, the account, my name." His jaw twitched for half a second. That was enough. Without a word, he reached into a drawer and pulled out a sealed envelope. "Your father left this with instructions, to be given only if you ever came back with the painting." My fingers shook as I opened the letter. It was my father's handwriting, elegant and firm. "Evelyn, you always saw the things no one else noticed. That's why this is yours, not because you needed it, but because you'd understand it. This money was built over decades, hidden so no one could touch it. Not Ryan, not Nicole. Use it wisely, and never, ever trust anyone with it, especially not your siblings. Especially not your siblings." I read that line over and over. It made sense now, the late-night fights between Ryan and Dad. The way Nicole always tried to control family conversations. They weren't just annoying, they were dangerous. And they had no idea I was now the most powerful one in the family. I didn't quit my life right away. Instead, I made moves in silence. Opened a new LLC under a fake name. Transferred small amounts from the offshore account into it. With Mason's help, I bought a small tech startup that was quietly gaining traction. I registered patents under anonymous identities. I played the long game. And then came the perfect opportunity. Nicole sent a family group text. Let's do a reunion dinner next Saturday at Ryan's place. Business updates, drinks, fun, followed by a winking emoji. Translation? They were going to gloat. I replied, I'll be there. They had no clue that I now owned more assets than both of them combined. And I wasn't just going to show up. I was going to make that night unforgettable. But just when I thought I was one step ahead, Mason called with something strange. Evelyn, the offshore account. It's not just savings. There are monthly deposits. Big ones. From companies tied to your father. And something else. A shell company. Registered in your name. But you didn't set it up. I froze. What does that mean? He hesitated. It means someone else knows about the money. And they're using your identity. My blood ran cold. Someone had already found the treasure. And they were moving in the shadows. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with questions. Who else knew? How long had they been watching me? Was it Ryan? Nicole? Someone outside the family? I called Mason again. Trace everything. I want names, locations, every transaction. By morning, he had something. The shell company was registered through a firm in Delaware, but the IP address that logged in last week, Los Angeles, and the device name, RN Tablety Pad. My heart dropped. RN, Ryan Nichols, my brother. So he knew. But how? He must have figured it out after the will was read. Maybe he'd been suspicious of the painting too. Maybe he'd seen me acting differently and started digging. One thing was clear. He wasn't just watching, he was stealing. And Saturday night at that dinner, he'd probably planned to make his move. But now, so had I. I spent the next 48 hours building my counterattack. Quietly, efficiently. Mason helped me encrypt everything I'd moved so far. We blocked the shell company's access, froze the transfers, and set up alerts for any new attempts. And then I did something bold. I bought 51% of my father's old manufacturing firm. The one Ryan currently ran under the impression it was his. Quietly, through a third-party firm. By Saturday, I owned his entire livelihood. The dinner was held in Ryan's glassy, modern mansion, filled with marble floors and fake smiles. Nicole arrived in a red designer dress, loud and glowing, acting like she owned the world. Ryan greeted me with his signature smirk. Wow, Evelyn, you look, well, employed. Nicole laughed into her wine glass. I smiled. Thanks. It's been a busy month. Still painting? She asked sweetly. I nodded. Actually, I've been restoring old things, making them valuable again. The jab went straight over her head. Dinner was served. They gave long toasts about their new business expansion. Ryan talked about scaling up, and Nicole hinted at launching her own fashion line. Then Ryan looked at me. Evelyn, why don't you tell everyone what you've been doing? My chest tightened. There it was, the setup. I stood up slowly, pretending to be nervous. Well, since you asked, Ryan, do you recognize this name? I pulled a folder from my purse, slid it across the table to him. He opened it, froze, then his jaw clenched. What is this? Ownership papers. For Nichols Industries. Bought it 2 days ago, through a holding firm you've never heard of, but I'm sure you'll get used to reporting to me. Nicole choked on her drink. Wait, what? I leaned in. You tried to steal from me, Ryan, but I came prepared. Everything you've built, you built it on my father's name, my inheritance, and now, it's mine. He shot to his feet. You can't do this. I already did. The room fell dead silent. But just when I thought I had won, Nicole looked at me, smiled slowly. You really think Dad gave you everything because he trusted you? I blinked. She reached into her purse, pulled out a small flash drive. You're not the only one with secrets, Evelyn. Suddenly, I realized this war had just begun. My stomach twisted as I stared at the flash drive in Nicole's hand. Her smirk was sharp, too confident. It wasn't just bluster. She knew something big. "What's on it?" I asked, my voice tight. She tapped the drive against her wine glass like a warning bell. "Let's just say the painting wasn't the only thing Dad left behind. You weren't his only secret." Ryan looked confused for the first time all night. "Wait, what are you talking about?" Nicole turned to him with a look that screamed, "I've been waiting for this moment." "You think Evelyn's the only one who got something hidden?" "No, sweetie. Dad left files. Hidden files. And guess what? I found them first." I tried to keep my face calm, but inside I was panicking. This wasn't in the letter. There was no mention of other files, or Nicole knowing anything. She stood up, walking slowly toward me like a cat circling its prey. "The day after the funeral, while you were busy crying over your painting, I hacked Dad's cloud backup. Found encrypted folders labeled for Evelyn only. But guess what? Your name doesn't mean anything when I have the passwords." My mind was racing. If she had access to those files, what else did she know? About the money? The offshore account? The real reason our parents chose to split the inheritance like they did? "You didn't tell Ryan?" I asked, trying to buy time. Nicole scoffed. "Please?" He would have messed it all up as usual. "Tell me what's in the files," I said. She leaned in, voice low and venomous. "Proof that Dad laundered money through fake companies. That your painting was part of a coded system used to move cash offshore. And guess whose name is attached to every transfer? Yours." My blood turned to ice. "You're bluffing," I said, but even I didn't believe it. She slid the flash drive onto the table. "Plug it in and see." Ryan snatched it first, jamming it into the laptop nearby. His face turned pale as the files opened. Dozens of PDF documents, spreadsheets, and transaction records, all with my name on them. Mason's email, offshore transfers, the encrypted accounts. Nicole whispered, "If I send this to the feds, your whole life's over." "But I didn't do any of that," I said quietly. "Dad did." She grinned. "And he's dead. But you're the beneficiary, which means you're holding the bag." Ryan looked between us. "So what? You're going to blackmail her?" Nicole didn't even blink. "Of course." I stood up slowly. "What do you want?" "Half," she said, "of everything, the money, the company, everything you just snatched from Ryan. Or I go public, and your empire crumbles before it even starts." The walls were closing in. Ryan was still frozen, unsure who to side with. Nicole was dangerous. Not loud and bratty like before, but strategic. Calculated. She'd waited for the right moment, and now she had leverage that could destroy me. But I wasn't about to lose everything I had built in silence. I nodded slowly. "Okay, you want half? Fine. Let's meet tomorrow. Neutral place. You bring everything. I'll bring a lawyer." She smiled, smug. Good choice. But I had no intention of giving her anything. Because by the time tomorrow came, Nicole would be the one answering questions she never saw coming. I already knew where to hit her. Hard. The next morning, before the sun even rose, I was already moving. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. My mind replayed Nicole's words over and over, the way she grinned when she said she could destroy everything. She was smart, I'd give her that, but she was greedy. And greed makes people sloppy. I met Mason at a coffee shop far from town. "She has the flash drive," I said, "but if she got it from Dad's cloud backup, there's a good chance she missed something." Mason nodded. "There's always metadata. And if she copied files instead of downloading them directly, timestamps won't match. That alone could ruin her evidence in court." "I don't want to just ruin her case," I said quietly. "I want to crush her before she even gets the chance to open her mouth." He smiled faintly. "Then we need to find her pressure point." It didn't take long. While Nicole had been busy playing hacker, she forgot one very important detail. All the startup seed money she bragged about during the reunion dinner. It wasn't hers. It was borrowed from shady investors. And one of them, Victor Lanigan, had been investigated twice for wire fraud. Mason pulled the file up on his tablet. She's about 3 weeks away from defaulting. Her fashion line is a smoke show. No sales. All marketing. I leaned in, heart pounding. If we squeeze Lanigan, he'll pressure her to sell. She won't be able to. Not without liquid assets. Mason grinned. So when she comes asking for her half, she's already on fire. I set the plan in motion fast. First, I had an anonymous tip sent to Lanigan's firm. A report showing Nicole was planning to dissolve the brand and hide her assets. Whether it was true or not didn't matter. The moment his legal team saw the word fraud, they'd pounce. Next, I called in a favor from one of my father's old associates, a private banker who owed my family. Within hours, Nicole's name was flagged on internal watch lists at 3 major banks. By noon, Nicole called me, voice shaking. Change of plans. I need to meet today. Now. I smiled. Panicking already? Evelyn, I'm serious. Something's happening with my investors. I think someone tipped them off. I kept my voice even. I thought we were meeting tomorrow. I can't wait that long, she said. If I don't get something in writing today, they'll pull out. And if they pull out, I'm screwed. There it was, the beautiful sound of collapse. I met her at a quiet rooftop restaurant. She looked worse than I'd ever seen her. Messy hair, shaking hands, phone lighting up with non-stop texts. I let her talk. They're threatening legal action, she said. I need assurance, a contract. Something that shows I'm getting what I'm owed. I pulled out a folder. This is a contract stating you'll receive 5% of Nichols Industries' passive profits, under the condition that you permanently erase and destroy any files associated with my inheritance. Her eyes widened. 5%? That wasn't the deal. You don't have a deal, Nicole. You have a flash drive and a bunch of files you don't even fully understand. I have lawyers, money, and something more important, time. She stared at me, stunned. You backed the wrong horse, I continued. You tried to blackmail me with my own name, and now? You're on 3 bank watch lists. Your lead investor is preparing a fraud case, and your brand's public value dropped 30% in the last 4 hours. She looked like she'd been punched. How did you? I stood. Calm, clean, ruthless. You wanted war, Nicole. I just gave you one. And now you're lucky I'm even offering 5%. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then, with shaking fingers, she signed the paper. It was over, or so I thought. Later that night, just as I was pouring a glass of wine to celebrate, Mason called. Evelyn, we've got a problem. My heart dropped. What now? He sighed. Ryan just filed a motion to contest the will. He's claiming you manipulated Dad in his final year. Medical fraud. Coercion. I stared at the wall, stunned. They weren't done, not even close. But neither was I.